Hello. I'm going to give it a few minutes for everyone to jump on from all the different communities where this is being shared. Now, I am hoping that this is streaming. It's supposed to be. Let me just check my phone to make sure that we are actually live. Hello. Thank you for those who are already here. Thank you very much. I'm just setting up my phone because I'm not certain whether or not StreamYard lets me see reactions on my YouTubes. But I thought YouTube was going to be the best way to do this so that everybody could join together in one place rather than having to get people from one place into another, and etc. As you can see, and as I have hopefully got up on the screen, I do use an avatar in my public live streams like this. Those of you who know me from different communities inside of school and Instagram and things like that, you all know I am a real person and that I do show up as myself. But when I'm doing something public like this, which is out on YouTube and in the space of the internet, I like to use an avatar to protect my own energy and my capacity so that I'm not worrying about my face being out there and all of the things that come with that. So, thank you so much, Eva. And hi, Thomas. Thank you for joining us. So, thank you, Eva. That is so sweet. Yep. Comments here, you can say anything you want. Nothing will appear on the screen of the live stream unless it is something that you give me permission to share. Which I can then click and make it appear on the screen like the comment that I've left there. But other than that, like, people can only see what you comment in the comments. It's not going to show up on the video, if that makes sense. Just for those who don't know how YouTube streaming like this works. So the comments will not show up, I don't think, actually on the video itself. At least I didn't used to. It's a long time since I've done this, and I'm actually feeling slightly nervous, not about the running this workshop, more about the changes in technology since I last did this nearly 3 years ago. I mean, I used to do a bit of gamer streaming and things like that, and things have changed so much on YouTube since then. So this is going to be a bit of a new experience for me, as well as potentially for some of you. So we've given it a few minutes. I am going to remove the comment. Everything should now be running. Oh, I love StreamYard for anything such as this. You can, on some of the settings, you can have it streaming not only to your YouTube, but also to your Instagram, your Facebook, and everything all at once. So you have one screen that you have to deal with. All your comments from all the different platforms come into one place for you to see them. So you're not jumping between screens and devices and things. Years and years ago, a long time ago, when I first started online work in general, I used to have like 3 separate screens to do 3 separate live streams if I wanted to do like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, for example. With StreamYard, you don't have to do that. So this is why I use StreamYard, and I am quite happy to have their advertising up and things, because it just simplifies life. And that is partly, it is super spiffy. Honestly, Eva, it is amazing. And partly, that is what this workshop in particular is about. It's about simplifying your setup so that it just makes life and business easier. And this is one of the ways that I do that, by using the platform of StreamYard and linking it up to everything, by using an avatar so that I'm not worrying about like all of the things that used to bother me. Like, how did my hair look? Was I looking at the camera enough? Because as an ADHDer, I do have notes that I will be flicking through, and you might hear the pages that I flick through to keep me on track. Because as you can tell from this was supposed to be a 2-minute intro, and we're 5 minutes in. I get sidetracked, especially when I'm talking to people and there's comments. So all such as that would usually be something I'd have to worry about. Like, am I looking at the camera enough? And, in addition to ADHD, I am autistic. Eye contact with myself on a screen is horrendous. So little things like having avatars and just doing things a little bit differently to how most people do them make it possible for me to be able to run my business without burning myself out and stressing myself out. So that is why I have the setup that I do. It's why I use the things that I do. And I hope that those who are joining us, having gotten to know a few of them in different communities, will not judge the book by its cover and think that the things that I have to say today are any less important because they are coming through a cartoon avatar. Anyway, that said, there's my intro. I think I covered all the bases. Shall we get on with the show for the evening? Tonight we are here to talk about the soft reset, a burnout recovery workshop. Now, I am going to read this disclaimer out just in case it is too small for anyone to read, so that I can make sure that everybody is very aware that this is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not medical advice. I am not medically trained. Well, yet I am doing a psychology degree, but we'll not get into all of that. It's not legal, financial, or any other kind of advice, and it does not take away from the services that, if you are in a mental health crisis, please seek out the services and support from qualified professionals. This is just an information workshop. This is my own experience and my own opinions that I am sharing in the hopes that it can help some people. Please, if you are in any kind of crisis, or even if you're not in crisis and you are just becoming aware that there is a problem, seek medical support. I did, and I do not feel any shame whatsoever holding my hands up and saying that I have been backwards and forwards to my doctors since I was 18 years old, so 20 plus years almost, and I've been medicated for depression and all kinds of other things, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you need medical intervention to help you get through the day, there is no shame in it. So, on with the rest of it. Let's pull up the other screen that I need, and we'll just ignore the green dot that appears. So the burnout recovery workshop, we're going to try and keep this super simple, and I'm going to try and keep this to an hour. And then at the end, I'll have some time to answer any questions that anyone might have. If you want any links to anything, we can do that at the end of the workshop. There is chance throughout this entire workshop for you to interact and have your say and just do little bits that just to keep it going and let me know that you're there. So can we, before we get started, test out the reactions? If you could hit one of the reactions for me, just so that I can see where they show up, because I have a feeling that it might be on my phone and nowhere else. Wait for the delay to catch up. This is the only issue with live streaming. Not quite knowing what it is that other people are seeing. Okay. Right. Testing done. I assume you can hear me, seeing as I had the lovely comments saying about my voice. Thank you very much. Let's get on with the show. If at any point everything, I am not seeing them showing up on any of my screens, so I'm just going to have to hope that you guys will put up reactions and then I'll see them on the replay. Okay, fantastic. At least you can see the slides. That's the main thing. That's the important bit for today. The reactions are just a way for me to be able to judge people's interaction. But please, even though I may not be seeing them immediately, please use them because they're fun. Okay, so why you really burned out. Hit the heart or drop me a heart in the comments If you showed up today running on empty, if you are feeling burnt out, but you are still showing up, you're still being visible, you're still working your butt off in your business so that you can succeed. Most people think that burnout comes from working too hard. It doesn't. Burnout is what happens when you are chronically exposed to demands that far exceed your capacity to recover. And the kicker of this is that your nervous system eventually stops being able to tell the difference between a genuine threat and your to-do list. Your body is in survival mode, and it's not a character flaw. This is just biology doing its job and doing what it's supposed to do. Have you ever, and I know I've done this, and I talked about this in my blog the other week, given yourself a pep talk just to get through the day? Stood there in the mirror saying your mantras and psyching yourself up, especially if you're going to do something like a live workshop, and feeling like you need that cheerleader there. It's something that many of us learn to do, to push through. And this is overfunctioning. And what nobody talks about is that we don't just work hard, we overfunction. We do that pushing through. There's a huge difference between working hard and overfunctioning. Overfunctioning is when doing more becomes your nervous system strategy. It's not a productivity choice anymore. It might start out that way, but then it develops and it becomes something else. And for a lot of women and men, because I am very aware we have our gentlemen with us this evening, who are in business, keeping busy and staying visible, producing things and achieving goals, that's where safety lives. If we are useful, we are valued. If you deliver, we are secure. Hustle culture and the patriarchy and all the other things that I usually talk about, but I'm not going to go too in depth with here tonight, didn't create this pattern in us, but they have exploited it. Drop it in the chat for me if you want to. There is no obligation to share. But what's the one thing that you either kept doing or are doing that is costing you? Whatever it is in your life, whether it's in your business or something that you are doing in your personal life, where you keep doing it even though you know it's burning you out. Yes, definitely. Feeling like you need to do more, the busy work, not actually being useful. That is such a common thing. And that feeling that you just need to feel like you're working hard, even if you're not actually producing anything. Like it's so ingrained in so many of us, especially those who are running businesses, but just in life in general, even to keep busy, to keep doing. And like I said, it then builds and becomes something else. So being aware of this and knowing what it is. The doom scroll, yes, the doom scroll is another one. You tell yourself that it's engagement activity, right? Yeah, I've been there, done that. I still do it sometimes. I catch myself and have to dial it back a little bit. But being aware of these things is so important when it comes to changing that pattern of behavior and the recovery, especially if you end up in a position where you have burnt out and then you are coming back to your business. I am in that position myself. I had a massive burnout, and very much, as you say, Eva, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, not taking time off. Yeah, I did that. And that is part of how I ended up in the position I was in. Not only was I not taking time off, I was running multiple businesses, product-based businesses, like physical products. I was a full-time solo carer to my son who has very complex needs. And I was trying to start my psychology degree. And I was working a part-time job. There are only 24 hours in a day. I somehow managed to make 48 hours every day. I must have done to get all that done. I don't know how I did it, honestly. Looking back now, it's like, what? I think the unleashed ADHD helped. But when you hit that burnout stage and you then come back and start to recover, which is the position I'm in now, and I'm aware that a lot of you might be in, where you're trying to rebuild from that place of exhaustion, if we don't look at the reasoning why and what's behind it, we can end up falling back into those same patterns. If we don't pull apart the threads of what actually caused it in the first place, beyond working too hard and the background noise that was part of it, the emotional load that was part of it, and all of the other bits that go into building burnout, we will end up back there. We will repeat the pattern and it'll just continue like a cycle. You know, the snake that's eating its own tail? That's us. We burn out, we give ourselves some time off, we recover, we come back saying we're going to do things differently. And then 18 months later, we're in exactly the same position where we're running around like headless chickens, not knowing how we're finding the time in the day, but finding it somehow. And then we burn out again. So I want you to sit with something just for a second. You don't have to share in the comments. Yes. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments. You don't have to share in the comments, but maybe note it down somewhere or just answer it in your head. What story did you tell yourself that made it okay to keep going? Now, I know this is a difficult one because it means looking at things. But just at some point, I want you to think about that. What was the story that you told yourself that made it okay to keep going? For me, it was, it's just until. It's just until I get this launch done. It's just until I get these orders out. It's just until Christmas is over. It was always just until, and then there was always another just until. But this is what I want to talk to you for the rest of the evening. Well, not the rest of the evening, the rest of the workshop, all about. The first thing that I had to do when I came back to my business was a capacity audit. Now, this was really hard for me because it meant, in my eyes, admitting my flaws. I was viewing limited capacity as a personal flaw, something I was doing wrong, and it is not. It is not, okay? So if you have that feeling that like you're doing something wrong because you can't keep up, just until, yeah. Everybody has the same feeling, honestly. Not everyone doesn't know that it's that feeling, but we all have that same feeling that it's us that were the problem. It's not. The problem is working outside of your capacity. And that hustle era capacity that kept you going and working through and pushing through for all the myriad of reasons that it happens, which I go into massive detail in other things, but I'm not going to do tonight because short and sweet. That all comes down to capacity, and your current capacity is not going to be the same as it was then for lots of reasons. You're older, more experienced. You may hopefully know what your capacity is and be working within it. But if you're not, we have the capacity audit, and it covers several areas. These areas, once you get them pinned down and you start working within them, mean that you will be able to build something honestly that you can actually sustain, not just on a good week or when you've got enough caffeine in your body or you're feeling inspired or you've got someone cheering you on and all of those other things that can help, but they will work on an ordinary Tuesday when your life is doing what life does and it's throwing a lot of punches at you, which I know a few of you are here on this live tonight are going through that right now. Life has been very lifey. It is for me. And it's by working within capacity that I'm able to keep going and not be burning out and not be feeling like I need that pep talk and all the other things. So what's involved in the capacity audit? We start with physical capacity. How many hours a day can you genuinely work without needing time off the next day to recover? And I'm not talking about like how many hours do you think you should be working or how many hours do you have free? Actual hours that you can spend working without it costing you physically the next day, that evening, in all the different ways that it does. Next up, we have got cognitive capacity. How many decisions, client interactions, creative outputs, admin tasks can you realistically handle in a week before your brain starts misfiring and making mistakes? It's important, especially if, like myself, you're a neurodivergent business owner, because decision fatigue is real and it has led me at times to make the decision to burn it all down and start again because it just got too much. And that was not what I should have been doing, but it's what can happen. If you work outside of your cognitive capacity, it can really screw you up. Next up, and we can get the slide to read. There we go. I've messed up my slides. Okay, the next one is supposed to say emotional capacity. How much of your work requires you to be emotionally present and regulated, especially for those of you who are running a coaching business. This is going to be an important one. If you're doing a lot of content creation or community management, it takes a lot of emotional capacity to do that, and it has a cost. When you're building out your offers and your content plan for the week, are you taking that into account? And then finally, we have recovery capacity. How long does it take you to recover from a launch, a difficult client, a big week where a lot was happening? And if your answer to that is you never really recover, that is the result of the audit. That's what you're working with. And you need to be taking that into account. Now, I've gone through this pretty quickly and I did clearly repeat myself on one of the slides in a very bad way. Really should have checked that before coming on here, but I do have a capacity audit workbook that I will be sharing in the Connect and Collab community as well as in my own communities. So if you would like something a bit more in depth to help you go through that capacity audit with all the correct wording on it, then you can pick those up at the end. They'll be available and added to posts in the various places that you guys will have come from. So yeah, burn it all down and restart from scratch. Done it so many times, honestly. There's a list in my business buddies community. I've got to remember, I changed the name on that one, where I literally listed all the different businesses that I've started over the last 26 years, and that list is ridiculous. And a lot of that was down to not working within capacity and going, do you know what? It's not working, let's move on. So now I'm doing things differently. So which of the 4 layers, and let's not forget about emotional capacity in this list, is the one that you have been missing? Like, where's your leak? Do you have a leak, or are you working within your capacity already? Oh, Eva, the amount of times I've burned down Facebook, honestly, you won't believe it. I have opened and closed so many Facebook groups and pages. It's just became part of life at one point. It was expected. So let's move on to the next bit. Oh, see, I am not working very well tonight. That one was supposed to come up when I was saying about the capacity audit being there to help you through it. The files will be available soon. There we go. That's the one we want. One of the biggest invisible loads in a service or knowledge-based business particularly is things like manual client communications. Every time you manually welcome someone to your group or your program or your community or your email list, you chase a payment or explain to somebody what's happening next, it all builds onto that cognitive and emotional capacity, and it's being spent unnecessarily. So I came up with, for my own business, and I now share with people that I'm working with. I'm so glad to hear that you are working within capacity. That is fantastic, because I know you are dealing with a lot right now. Sorry, distracted by comments again. Where did I get to? Oh yeah, it's been spent unnecessarily. So I came up with the Calm onboarding system. I use it in my own business, and it's something that I now share with people who are within the programs that I'm going to be launching and in my groups, communities, or whatever label we want to put on them. It's all one and the same. The Calm onboarding system solves that problem of having to manually constantly repeat yourself and keep chasing these things up and losing that leaked capacity. You set it up once and it runs every time. Works the same way for everybody within that part of the system consistently. And that means it doesn't matter whether you are having a great week where you're able to get things done, or whether you're laying on the sofa crying because your body said, no, not today. And crucially, if you do it right, it can help make your customers feel more held, not less, because clear communication helps to keep communication open and alive. I know a lot of people, particularly women in business, struggle with the idea of not giving the personal touch. And a lot of us have experienced those cold, automated responses that just make us go, ugh. There's a time and a place for these things. There are ways of doing it that will make your customers and your clients feel like they are just within your world, rather than being pushed out of it by the automation, if that makes sense. Because it can sometimes feel like by automating things, we're removing the humanity from the process. But by automating in the right way, you can actually give yourself chance to be there as the humanity without burning out. I know it's cliche, but the you can't pour from an empty cup thing is real. If you're doing everything yourself and you have zero system in place, you just won't be there at all. And then your customers really will feel pushed out of your world. So what is the Calm onboarding system? It has 5 points to it. Now, if you do not have like a wait-in period within the system that you're building, then you don't need to do all 5 points, and we'll get to that towards the end. So what it is we start with the welcome. So this would be triggered immediately when somebody joins your email list, your community, signs up to a program that you're running or some other kind of offer, purchases a product from you. And it's that automatic confirmation of the action they just took. There's nothing worse than clicking on a link, especially if it's something you're paying for, and then it goes through the processing and then nothing else happens. You're sat there thinking, did that go through? Has it taken the payment? Am I getting the thing? So the first point on the Calm onboarding system alleviates that anxiety. It lets the customer know or the client know that the action they just took went through and worked. And that helps to build trust before you even speak to them. They've clicked on it and they've instantly had a response. Once you've got them into that process, if you have a waiting period, so if the action they took was to join a waiting list, the second point in the system would be the reminder, or the nudge, interchangeable, these ones. This re-engages the client at the right moment, not just a random newsletter that gets sent out on a particular date and goes to everybody. This would be something with relevant information, and it tells them what the next step is, what the deadline for that is. And this isn't FOMO or pressure. This isn't the, oh my God, you've got to sign up now before the doors close or before the price increases or all of that shite. This is literally just information. You joined a waiting list. I'm letting you know that the doors are now open. The payment link is now live. Whatever it is that they signed up for, that there was that waiting period for, you click to join the community. The community is now live. Click here to enter. Whatever your system is built around, the reminder or the nudge would tell them this is it. Again, for point 3, reminder and nudge are interchangeable depending on how you are building your system for your business. And it would be to let them know of closing dates. So again, it's not manipulation. It's literally a courtesy. As someone with the goldfish memory, because of my ADHD, I very often will sign up to something and be like, okay, I want to do this thing. And then I'll get the reminder that tells me we've opened the doors. And I'm like, okay, right, on payday, I'm going to do this because I might need to save up for it or something. And it'll be like, on such and such a date, I'm going to do this. And then 3 months later, I remember about it and I've missed out on the opportunity because although the doors were open and I was told when they'd close, my brain didn't retain that. So that last reminder, like 48 hours beforehand, is super helpful to a lot of people. Life is busy. Trying to remember things, unless you purposely put them in your calendar with a reminder, can be difficult, especially if they are not in your world as such, like part of your wider audience. They're not seeing things posted about it on social media or anything like that. Having that final reminder, that final nudge, lets them know this is the last chance. We're not saying forever, but for this particular time date, we're closing the doors. And it means that people know they either need to take action or wait. So then once they've taken that action, or hopefully that's what they decide to do rather than waiting for the next time round or whatever, you would have your handover. And this is when they get access to everything that they've paid for, or they get access to the community they joined, or, you know, it all depends on what your particular process is being built around. And this would mean that you don't end up with those panicked emails. I signed up to this and I haven't been able to get it. Where's my login details? How do I do this? How do I do that? You send out the handover email, which details step by step. Welcome to such and such a program, whatever it is you're doing. Here's how you access your materials. Here's how you access the thing you paid for. This is the date it'll arrive on your doorstep. If it's something physical you're sending them, it can be adapted for any kind of business. And this is about giving you breathing space. particularly if you're launching and you have like a cohort all getting access on a particular date, trying to field all of those emails and questions is a guaranteed recipe for burnout. If you tried to do all of that manually and answer everyone's individual FAQs through individual emails or DMs or whatever, putting up posts, responding to comments, the handover in this process helps you to eliminate that. It answers every question they could possibly have. I mean, you will potentially always have one person who either doesn't read it or comes up with something that you did not think of. But that means you're dealing with one person, not 10 or 100. Or if you're at the scale, 1,000. Can you imagine taking 1,000 emails a day with questions? You just wouldn't do it, would you? You wouldn't be able to. And then that brings us to the last point in the framework, which is the rhythm. An ongoing communication that will keep people informed. Now, this is mostly for people who are doing like courses and things like that, where you would send a regular update just to make sure that they're aware of like what point we are at in the program or something like that. It would maybe be, if it's a community that they've joined, you would maybe send out a letter once a month, even with just this is what's been happening in the community if you missed it, and maybe something about what's coming up so that people can kind of plan around what they want to get involved with. That would be your rhythm. That would be those regular communications that you can set them up. You can put in dates and times of things that are happening. You can have it all done so that you're not sitting down every week writing that email from scratch, thinking, okay, what did we do last week in the community? What did we cover at the beginning of the month 3 weeks ago? You don't have to worry about all those things. You can write them out in advance. You can sit and block it, because I love blocking my workload. It makes life so much easier. And it is just a way that you can continue to communicate with them over the key points that you feel like people need to know. Obviously, as I said at the beginning, if you don't have a waiting period within the system that you're building, so if it's something like a direct purchase or it's a community join that you don't want to have that waiting period on, so they just join straight away and jump in, you can skip points 2 and 3. So you would only need to do 1, 4, and 5. And it just cuts the system back to what you need. And that is the beauty of this system. It allows you to pick and choose the bits that work for your business, the bits that you need. There's nothing in there that's unnecessary. It's all about simplifying things so that you can just get on with the running of your business without having to worry about all of the rest of it. So hopefully that made sense to everybody. And again, there is going to be a file that is going to be added in the various communities and places where this has been shared for people to come and join in, that will take you through the process step by step, and that you can edit and you can make it so that it is built for your particular business. So you'll be able to, with a combination of the capacity audit and the Calm onboarding system, you will be able to go through and build a system that allows you to just be in your business instead of constantly worrying about what's happening with everything around it, so that you can actually enjoy the good bits. So this is how you would be able to pull all of that together and make it your own. It is so flexible. It will work for any type of business, whether it's physical products or whether you're a coach or whether you are selling digital products or a service-based business. It works no matter what you're doing. It's a flexible system that just helps you to automate the bits that you can and to simplify things. So no burnout. And like I said, I built this initially for my own business. It was when I've been looking at the program that I'm building, which is where this workshop has kind of been pulled from. And I needed a system that was going to keep people up to date with what was happening, because the two programs I'm building, one is going to run twice a year, the other one is going to run 3 times a year, maybe 4. I haven't quite decided yet, but whichever way, there's going to be a waiting period. And particularly because of the topics that we are covering in the work that I do, it is very personal, and it is kind of, I don't want people just hovering in the void, not knowing what's happening. But I was also very aware that I was not going to be able to make myself sit down and once a week write a newsletter. Anyone who is on my Inner Circle newsletter knows the first one has just gone out, and it explains these will not be sent out on a schedule. You might get one a week, you might get one a month. It all depends. And that's why for something as important as my programs, I wanted to have that system in place. So I built this calm onboarding system that allowed me to be flexible, allowed me to have enough automation in there that I got that breathing space without my potential clients and customers feeling like they were talking to a bot constantly, because that just isn't the vibe, is it? It's not the vibe that we're going for, or at least not for me. Automation is great, but there's a right way and a terrible way to do it. And I have experienced both as a customer, and I didn't want to do that. So I built this. So hopefully with the workbooks that are going to be available, you will be able to sit down and go through this. And if you have any problems with putting it together, I will be in the different groups and communities where this stuff is being shared, and you can ask questions, and I'm happy to help anybody who wants some hand-holding with this. And I do know that it can, a lot of the time, be a lot easier for someone on the outside to look at what we're doing and say, actually, that might be kind of pushing your capacity a bit. I needed other people to do that for me when I was restarting this business, and I needed other people to say to me, are you sure you can do that without making your life a nightmare? And it turned out I wasn't sure, but I am now. So the last thing that I want to talk about on this workshop is quiet marketing, consent-based marketing, something that causes a huge amount of stress to a lot of people in business is marketing and sales, feeling icky about trying to sell their things, feeling like they're pestering people, feeling like they have to be super visible. You have to post on all the platforms, you have to do this, you don't have to do any of it. All right? That is the first point I want to make. You do not have to do any of it, no matter what coaches or so-called coaches, because I have a whole thing about coaches, but we're not going to go down that route. No matter what they will tell you you need to be doing, it's all bollocks, right? You should be marketing your business in a way that feels right to you. So if you are doing things and you are following advice or following frameworks or listening to other people around you, and it doesn't feel right and it's burning you out, then you should not be doing that stuff. And you don't have to. Quiet marketing can work. So what is quiet marketing, right? I'm saying quiet marketing and I haven't explained it. Quiet marketing isn't just doing less and hoping it's going to work. This isn't about, oh, well, if you only post once a week on Insta, you can still get sales. That's not what I'm saying. It's about being intentional about where you put your energy and how, so that you can build trust with people instead of chasing those vanity metrics, instead of chasing the engagement numbers. You would be looking at retention numbers instead, because that is what is important. So when we look at it in terms of performance versus connection, which obviously a lot of us are here from a point of looking for connection. Performance is when you're doing things like posting because you're scared that if you go quiet, you'll disappear. You're chasing engagement metrics, which happens a lot on platforms. You're manufacturing urgency because you feel like if you don't put a timer on things, then people won't bother signing up. You're saying yes to way more platforms than you can actually handle. And you're showing up even when it's costing you, even when you're exhausted and it feels bad and you don't want to do it. And you might sit there literally feeling sick before posting something because it just doesn't feel right, but you do it anyway. Following someone else's blueprint, yes. And this is the whole thing that so many people who have experienced burnout, myself included, a huge part of that was due to following somebody else's blueprint of how you should do it, because it worked for them. They made however many millions. They had 10K months in 90 days and all of the other claims that get made, which for some people it is true, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you because you are not them. And that's the thing. Connection marketing and quiet marketing, which obviously I know is your whole jam, is about saying the true things and maybe saying them less often so that you can build that trust over time, not building hype in the moment. Letting people choose you instead of you chasing them. Now, this one gets thrown around a lot, attraction marketing, but the version of attraction marketing that's out there isn't actually going to be what it should be because it is being viewed from a different perspective. Letting people choose you means not pressuring them, not sending the 5 follow-up DMs, but instead maybe in the first message, sending them a link to a page where they can get all the information they could possibly want, and then saying, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to chat through it. And then that's it. You just let them make a decision whether or not you are right for them. If they have a question, they'll come to you with it. And connection and quiet marketing might be only being on one platform. Now, I know this sounds crazy and it is counterintuitive and it is against everything that everybody says. But if you do one platform really well, that is going to be more productive for you and it is going to bring you more customers and clients than doing 10 platforms really badly. And the last bit about quiet marketing is showing up when you've got something to say, not just posting for the sake of posting. As we've had discussions, some of us in certain communities previously, posting engagement content just to get the numbers up, just to get the engagement there so that you can get a little emoji next to your name or something similar, when you don't really have anything of importance to say. Whereas when you just show up, when you've got something to contribute, when you can add to a conversation, then that is when it is going to resonate with your ideal clients and it's going to bring you those people who are going to look at you and go, yes, you are for me, because they're not having to filter through all the noise. And that is like the basis of consent-based pricing and marketing and sales, which is what I try to do and teach, is consent-based marketing. And I don't just mean adhering to GDPR rules and, making sure that people can unsubscribe and stuff like that, although that is a big important thing that particularly businesses in the UK, but businesses worldwide, I feel, should be doing. We shouldn't be making it impossible to unsubscribe from an email list, which happens way too often. But consent-based marketing and sales means that you're not trying to catch people off guard. You're not manufacturing FOMO and trying to override people's natural hesitation. The amount of times that I have heard people say that somebody not wanting to pay £2,000 plus for a training program is a mindset issue. And it just makes, I I literally growl sometimes reading people's messages. It is not a mindset issue to have concerns about spending a large chunk of money on something that to you is an unknown entity. That is your nervous system doing its job. And using pressure tactics the way that so many people in business, and it's not just coaching industry, but it is really prevalent there. All businesses do this. It's in every sector of the industry that is business, and it's so hard when you're in the middle of that and you're trying to do things differently, but it is also so worthwhile, because you will have customers who made that decision on their own and they don't feel pressured. And the people that I have seen and that I've talked to and that I've worked with who use true consent-based marketing, they have such a low refund request rate. It is practically unseen anywhere else. Everybody says that, like, oh, well, you should expect a refund request at some point. And yes, it does happen. You will get that random person who signs up to something or buys a product from you or whatever, and they buy it purely with the intention of asking for a refund 10 days later. And if you're selling anything online, you haven't got a leg to stand on. Even physical products sold online, it doesn't matter if it is in perfect working order and all the rest of it. If it was bought online, you have to give the refund. That is so great to hear. Like, I love it when people say, like, I don't get requests for refund, because that means you're doing it right. That means that you're doing everything right, because those refund requests come in a higher frequency when you are using tactics that push people to ignore their own body, to ignore their own mind, and puts that pressure on. And all of these things, we see them a lot, fake countdown timers, sale ends on Tuesday, and you go back on Wednesday and, oh, look, we're having another sale, all that stuff. People are starting to become numb to it, and it's not working anymore anyway, because everybody knows if I go back the day after the sale ends, I can guarantee I'm still going to get it at the same price. It's been so overused, it's not having the effect that it does. And people see that and they go, yeah, no, not falling for that one. And they instantly, in their mind, know what kind of business you're running. If you're going to use those tactics, then you're obviously shady. So it's not just a case of consent-based marketing being the better way to do things, and you will feel good about it. You will feel good about your sales process and your marketing if you are doing it from this perspective. But also, it is better for your business, because you're going to have a higher conversion rate at the end of the day, because you're going to give less refunds. You're going to have less people who are dissatisfied with the service or the product. And it can be really difficult to do this in the noisy world that we live in. But one of the best ways that you can do it is by making it easy for the right people to find you, while making sure that the ones who are not your people will just scroll past. You can do this through things like your branding. You can do this through things like having your onboarding system have that waiting period in it, so that people have time to think about what it is that they're doing. You can do it by not using those pressure tactics, not doing those high pressure follow-ups, not using the countdowns and things like that, because people who would only buy from you under pressure are not the people you want buying from you. So although it may feel counterintuitive to start it in the beginning and to do it that way when everybody else is doing something else, it is something that will benefit you mentally, physically, and benefit your business in the long run. You've got to play the long game, right? Short-term success is great. You make money, but what good is it to you if in a year's time your business folds because people are dissatisfied, people are giving bad reviews, and all the other things that can potentially come along with that kind of pressure selling? Consent-based marketing is the way to go. And you're going to see it a lot more with a lot of people. Whether or not it'll be done like correctly, or whether it'll just be pressure tactics rebranded is yet to be seen, but you're going to start seeing it. You're going to start seeing more people talking about consent-based marketing and doing away with FOMO and hustle culture and all the rest of it. So the best thing to do is jump on the bandwagon now before it's a bandwagon and become known for it. Become one of the bigger names that leads the way. Anyway, that is it. I rambled a little bit more than I meant to. I did get away from my notes a little, but that's fine. I'm only human, right? So let's finish up. Before we do, I want to say one more thing. It's not a piece of advice. This is permission, because some people need it. Permission to build slowly, to build a business that fits you, to build your business differently to how you are seeing everybody else doing it. I remember being told as a kid, if all your friends jumped up off a bridge, would you do it too? And being the cocky little so-and-so that I was, be like, well, it depends on what they were jumping for and how fun it was, wasn't it? But that's not the case when it comes to building your business. Doing it the way everyone else does is not going to work. You have got to build for you, around you, your life, your capacity, and especially if you're in the recovery process. So tonight is about showing you that it can be done differently and giving you that permission if you need it. If you can't give yourself permission to do this, I give you that permission. If you needed that, you're welcome. If you think I sound crazy, like, why do I need your permission, bitch? That's even better, because you don't. There's one thing that I would like everyone to do, and it's not leave me a great review, it's not share this everywhere, it's not any of that usual stuff, it's not sign up to my program. What I would like you to do before you do anything else this week, before you do a launch or a content plan or anything else like that, I would like you to make your own business a little bit easier on yourself. Do one thing, remove one thing, stop doing one thing. Whatever it is you need to do to make your business a little bit easier, just do that one thing. Then you can keep running the rest of it as it is and work on one thing at a time. But I would like you to do that. And I would love if you would like to share in the comments. I would love if you could tell me what your one thing is going to be, if you already know. If you don't, you can always come back and share later. You can share it in one of the many, many posts that are in different communities and things about this. But I would love to know what your one thing is so that I can then stalk you and hold you to it. No, not really. I'm not going to stalk you. Oh, I might a little bit. I do come across a bit stalkerish, I am aware. When I find people that I like who are doing things that I think are amazing, I become a bit of a stalker. Speaking of, if you would like to stay in touch, get some ongoing support, you can do that firstly by joining Connect and Collab if you're not already in there. Fantastic group being run on school, which has become one of my favorite places. But also if you would specifically like ongoing support from me, you can join the Reset Circle. Or for the guys who have joined us tonight, thank you very much, by the way. You can come into Business Buddies, which is my group that is there for everybody. So it's that one is more about connecting with each other, connecting with other businesses, a little bit of networking going on, being able to promote your business, whereas Reset Circle is specifically a women-only group, which is all about recovering from burnout as well as avoiding burnout. And it's about self-development and putting yourself first before everything else so that you can do all the other things. You can also find me on my website and you can email me. The address is on screen and I will actually answer those personally. You will not get an automated response. The automation only happens within my system. So if you email me randomly, you'll get me. It might take a day or two, but you will get me. For anyone who wants to click on the website link. You will find information there about my paid programs. This workshop is not about signing you guys up to those. I have No BS Reset and Re-Identify. The information is there, but that's not why I'm giving you the website link. The reason I'm giving you the website link is because on there you can also find Basic AF, my 100% free step-by-step guide to building a sustainable business. It is designed for first-year founders who are just starting out, but it can also be applied to people who are rebuilding a business after burnout. We are currently on, I think this week, we are launching week 10 tomorrow. But it is a 26-week program. So that tells you how in-depth and step-by-step it is. It's 26 weeks. And it's there free. Don't have to join my community, but you can, and you can get free resources if you do, but it is all there on the website. So that is definitely worth going and checking out for anyone who is working on building a business or rebuilding a business. Now that that information is out there, we can jump back across so that I can actually see the comments without having to stare at the tiny writing on my screen. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me this evening, especially seeing as it is bank holiday weekend and all of the rest of it. So I very much appreciate everyone that has managed to make it to the live, and anyone who didn't make it to live and is watching on replay, you are most welcome to put your contribution in the comments. I will keep coming back and answering those. This isn't like a once and done thing. This is going to stay up, and anyone who watches the replay, just give me a hashtag replay in the comments so that I know that you are watching the replay and it's not a live comment that I missed, because they will appear in the time frame where you left them. So I don't want to miss your comment. So if you can just put a hashtag replay on the first comment that you leave, and then I can respond to it and know that it is a new one. Now I can take a breath, because this is the first live workshop that I've delivered in 3 years. This is my first workshop since burnout, and my burnout was big. I had a complete mental breakdown. So to come back and do this in this way, where it has felt right and has not felt like I am trying to live up to anyone else's expectations, has just been a fantastic opportunity. So thank you so much for the opportunity to do this and to get me back in the swing of things, and knowing that I can do it in a way that doesn't make me feel ick, because the ick was so big. Oh, honestly, I've tried to do a few within my own community, and because my community are mostly American and Australian and I am UK based, it has been so difficult, and I've ended up just doing recordings instead, because we couldn't get the timing right. So it's been a bit of a, oh, can I stick to my own guns and stay within my capacity on a live? Because I've gotten so used to doing it as a recording. I was a little bit concerned I might slip into old habits tonight, but I haven't. And I even allowed myself to ramble, which I used to stop myself from doing. So it felt great. It was brilliant to have you guys with me. And like I say, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop them either in the comments here or on the multiple posts. I will be jumping straight from here into there to upload the worksheets for you guys, so that you can work through this at your own pace. And I will see you all in there. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you. Bye-bye.